Hello, fourth graders. I hope that you are having a wonderful Wednesday. Today is June 24th, and we are going to continue with two-step and multi-step word problems. Now, we've been working on word problems since last week, so the ones we're going to do this week are just a little bit more complicated. Sometimes more steps, or the steps that you do have are just a little bit more tricky. Okay? So this is our last week of summer school. So let's make sure that everybody understands what you're supposed to do. If you found this video, you've already found the place where I put my link. Right after the link for this video, you'll find our assignment for today. An assignment is Success Maker, just like it has been for the last month. And you would be looking for summer school, fourth grade math, June 24th. Okay, it's the same way that I've set up all the past assignments. Okay, so you'll have a new one for today to do. And then at 10:30, we'll have our Zoom meeting. Okay, and the link for the Zoom meeting is in the same place where you found the link, and you can see your assignment, all in one place. Okay, so it should be easy for you to find, and I hope to see you there at 10:30. It's important to go to those meetings because, like I said, it lets you, if you have questions, you can ask those questions. We'll go over some more problems so I can kind of check to see if you understand what we're doing. Okay, but I can't do that unless you show up. So make sure that you come and join us at 10:30 for that. Okay, so like I was saying, we're going to be working on two-step word problems, and I have one here right for us. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So let me read this to you. For word problems, and I know that I've said this before, but being able to read and understand is almost important as your math skills here, because you can't get to the right answer if you don't know what you're supposed to do, right? So let's check this out. There were 56 birdhouses at school. Today, 4 classes made more birdhouses. Each class made 8 birdhouses. How many are there now? Okay, so I'm noticing lots of numbers here. I see 56 birdhouses first. And that's how many birdhouses they have when they start out. So when they start out, they have 56 birdhouses. And they're adding more birdhouses to that. But look, they're adding them in a kind of a more complicated way. Today, 4 classes made birdhouses. Each class made 8 birdhouses. So you can imagine there's 4 classrooms, right? And in those classrooms, they're making birdhouses. In each of the 4 individual birdhouses, in each of the 4 individual classes, they're making 8 birdhouses. Okay? So that's 4 groups of 8. 4 groups of 8 is the same thing as 4 times 8. Okay? So if I could sum up what's going to happen in this problem, I need to figure out what 4 times 8 is, and I need to add that to the 56 bird feeders they already have. That's how I'm going to answer that question at the end. How many are there now? Okay? So, what is 4 times 8? That's the first thing to figure out. Do you know your math facts? What is 4 times 8? Well, 4 times 8 is 32. 32. So 4 times 8 is 32. So I'm going to be adding 56 plus 32. What is 56 plus 32? Well, we should get 8 in the ones place and 8 in the tens space. We should have 88 birdhouses altogether. So 88 birdhouses is going to be my answer. 88 birdhouses. Okay? So that was what made that problem interesting, is that it had a multiplication part, and I took that total and had to add it. Okay, so I have to look carefully on what the words say. And it was important for me to understand if 4 classes make 8 birdhouses each, 4 groups of 8 is 4 times 8. If I wanted to really, I could have just added 8 4 times, 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, because that does the same thing as multiplying 4 times 8, but it's faster to multiply. So that's why I chose to do that. Okay? Alrighty, let's go and do another problem. So I gotta do a little bit of racing here. And this one I'm gonna have to read to you, because if I write it down on the board, that will take me an extra 5 minutes or so. So I'm gonna read this one to you, and it says, Mr. Dent had 32 markers in his classroom. He buys new boxes of markers that have 9 markers in each box. Now he has 86 markers. How many new markers did he buy? So this is an interesting problem because it's not as quite obvious as it might seem. Let me just read that to you again and then we'll go through it. Mr. Dent had 32 markers in his classroom. So that means he's starting out with 32 markers. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. He buys new boxes of markers that have 9 markers in each box. And then at the end, he has 86 markers. How many boxes did he buy? So, he's starting off with 32. He's buying boxes of 9 markers each, but I don't know how many he bought yet. And then, at the end, he's going to have 86 markers. Okay? So 32 plus 9, which is how many markers are in a box, times some number I don't know, equals 86. Okay? So this is a little bit almost like algebra, because algebra has the same kind of ideas. So I gotta think, how do I figure out what that missing number is going to be? I need to isolate it, okay? Because right now, this is too complicated of a problem for me to just guess what that missing number is going to be. Okay, so to make this problem simpler, I'm gonna get rid of the 32 that he started with. Okay, so I'm gonna take away this 32. Okay, so I'm gonna take away that 32, and I'm gonna take away 32 from the 86, because without the 32, you wouldn't even have the 86, right? So what is, if I get rid of my 32, so just put a line through it real quick, I'm gonna take away 32 and subtract and see what I get left. And I'm going to get 54. Now this is a problem that I can figure out, because I can figure out 9 times what number equals 54. Do you know that? That's a math fact. Do you know your times nines? 9 times what number equals 54? It's just a math fact. 9 times 6 equals 54. Okay, so what does that mean? The original question asked me, how many new boxes did he buy? This 6 is how many new boxes he bought. Okay, so in my answer to my question, he bought 6 boxes. Now let's go back and look at the steps there, okay? The first thing I did was read the problem carefully, right? Read the problem carefully. I went through and took notes. I wrote down that they started off with 32 markers, right? Then he buys boxes of markers. I don't know how many boxes, so I put a question mark to represent that. I do know how many markers were in each box. That's where the times 9 comes from, right? Because no matter how many boxes I have to multiply times 9 to figure out how many markers that gives me. And then I wrote down my total 86. Okay? What I decided is this is too many numbers for me to try to guess what the missing number is. So I took away the 32 markers that I started with, and I took away 32 markers from the total amount of markers. And that only left behind the part that I'm buying. Okay? And when I was left with 54 markers, left behind here, 9 times something has to equal 54, then I was just going back and thinking about my math facts. And I know that 9 times 6 is 54. And that's how we got our 6 boxes. Okay? So that one was a little more tricky, okay? I wanted to give you at least one that you really have to think about, because that's what we get. We always start off with easier problems, but as we go along, we get more and more complicated, more and more difficulty. But still, I will say this again, there is only so many different ways to ask a question. So again, the more you do of these type of problems, the better you're going to get. Okay? Alrighty, so please keep that in mind. Now, we have a Zoom meeting today at 10:30. I hope to see you there because, again, it gives me a chance to help you out some. So if you're going through and doing your assignment today and you have trouble with a problem, write down the number or write down the problem and bring it with you to group, and I can help you with that. We'll go over some other problems to get you some more practice and any other questions you might have. Be able to see the other students in the class. So hope to see you at 10:30, and I hope you have a fantastic day.